If you tell people the basis of the story, there's a tiger found behind Target in suburban Southern California and nobody knows it and it's prowling. Mm-hmm. Most people think, oh, great. Like, oh, it's Jaws.
You're listening to Radio Free Mike. Welcome to Radio Free Mike, the podcast about freedom and its discontents. My name is Michael Scott Moore, and today we're talking to Adam Skolnick, a journalist and author who's written his first novel, American Tiger, about a large cat on the loose in the hills around Simi Valley, California. It's loosely based on a real event Adam covered for the LA Weekly once upon a time, but it also centers on a smart and over-imaginative girl, and it's nothing like the movie Jaws. Adam, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So your book, American Tiger, is a novel about a father and daughter, and it's based on a real event. So tell me, what gave you the idea? There really was a tiger that went loose in 2005.
What happened in 2005 was this quirky couple moved from Temecula to Ventura County with their menagerie of cats and didn't tell anybody that they moved because even though they were permitted to own these domesticated wild big cats, and they had a range of them: lynx, snow leopards, African lions, and tigers. Mm-hmm. Because the way the permits worked at that time, when you move within the state, you're not obligated to tell the game wardens who have jurisdiction of that county that you've moved. So they on the move, they lost 2 cats and didn't tell anyone. And so no one knew about it. The lynx was recovered relatively quickly, and that tipped the game wardens off to the presence of these people, because the game wardens they're the ones who keep track of the owners of these kinds of quirky pet owners or animal owners. And so the game warden found them and toured their property and realized they had a lot of other cats and asked them, do you have anything else missing? And they denied it.
Wow.
And then some days later, I think maybe a week later, so 10 days or so after the incident, a ranch hand saw a tiger slinking through the grass.
Saw the tiger directly, so not just
saw
tracks.
the tiger.
Yeah, wow.
Saw the tiger and called the game wardens were called in. And then thus began this search, but they didn't find it for weeks. It was like on the run for like 4 weeks. It was an El Nino year, so rain was pouring down, and it was just wiping away all evidence. And so they brought in the best trackers in the country, couldn't find it. And so I covered that story for the LA Weekly back then. Mm-hmm. It might still be around the LA Weekly, but it's obviously a shadow of what it was. It was the paper for countercultural and also.
Oh yeah, no, I wrote for the SF Weekly up in San Francisco.
There you go.
A little before that, not around that time, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. So the LA Weekly was kind of like where we went for. If we wanted a night out, it was Jonathan Gold. The great Jonathan Gold came up in the LA Weekly.
The food writer, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The first food writer to get a Pulitzer. And so so I covered that. I spent a day with the game wardens and enjoyed that experience. We didn't find the tiger. We found some false alarms and some quirky locals who were like trying to bait the tiger with goats tied to a tree and just like all sorts of crazy stuff.
That's horrifying.
Well, that story is like some old dude set out goats, tied them to a tree, and sat in a chair with his rifle waiting to kill the tiger.
Live goats?
Live goats. And what ended up happening is something
awful.
came by and scared the goats, and the goats hung themselves on their chain and
horrifying.
Died. And he woke up because he slept through it because he was drunk or something.
Right.
And he slept through it and woke up to dead goats. And so that's the kind of weird.
Though? Did the tiger
get No.
There wasn't even the tiger.
No.
Jesus. That's horrible. No. I have a real sympathy for goats because that's what I was fed on in Somalia. So every now and then a goat would be brought like onto the ship where I was being held and slaughtered in front of us. And then, or, brought into the compound.
Yeah.
Goats fed me, but I have an affinity for goats. So.
Yeah. No, I bet. Yeah, it's heavy. So that's what was going on. And then I left and filed my piece. And a couple days later, the tiger turned up and they found him. And so then I thought, I didn't think necessarily of a book right away. I was kind of still just doing journalism and trying to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2013, I started thinking about a book to write. Like, what would be the next? I'd written a novel, got an agent.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't sell the novel. And my agent was on the phone with me and he was like, what are you thinking about next? And I said, well, I'm toying with something set in, this suburban California. And I told him about the story that I'd covered. And that was kind of the first inkling, but I didn't end up writing it because like the next week I was in the Bahamas and covering a freediving competition for the New York Times, and the best American died. And that became the basis of my first book, actually, One Breath. And so that kind of got waylaid. And then after One Breath came out, I started to dig in and do the research, and then, still caught up in making a living. I didn't actually sit down to write it until the pandemic. So I'd done all this research and gathered it and was formulating it. And when it came time to write it, I realized that to make it work, I needed to kind of seed it in a father-daughter story. And the father's the game warden in charge, like not in charge, but one of the principal people in the search. And then his daughter is the first to see the tiger, and no one believes her because she's got a fantastical imagination.
And, and her name is Belle, and
Belle.
She's how old? She's
9.
She's 9.
She's 9. Yeah.
And she's got this fantastic imagination, and even her father doesn't believe her at first when she says that she sees a tiger somewhere near a target when the school bus sort of stops. And but of course, since her father's the game warden, it's his responsibility to know if there's a tiger out there or not.
That's right.
And then the lynx, he gets called in because of a lynx that's at large, and that sets everything in motion. The couple that you described from real life, they appear in the book, more or less like you just described it. They moved from Riverside County and they had all these wild animals, and they denied having a tiger, which was in fact wandering the neighborhood.
That's all true, right? Like, so the lynx got out. The lynx was found by the game warden. The game warden tranquilized the lynx, brought it to animal control. One of these guys, one of the couple, the male, the man of the house, kind of the ranch. Although, in the book, it's his wife that really is in charge. But he goes to pick up the lynx, and that's what tips off the game wardens. And then
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this has been a free preview of this episode, and the whole thing is open to paid subscribers to Radio Free Mike. So if you'd like to hear the rest, please hit the link in your show notes or in the body of the email we've sent you, and upgrade your subscription over at Substack. Then you'll be able to listen to the full episode on any platform. Thanks for listening.
Beside